Introducing Fall of the Samurai to Against All Odds. Send more of these saves my way, guys. I'm excited, especially for some Fall of the Samurai saves. A lot of unusual things happen in this battle. You've already seen one of them, I think, and I've gone at this for more than 2 hours, maybe 10 or 12 attempts. This isn't actually my last attempt. This is maybe my 5th or 6th attempt, like a fluke attempt where I did a bit better than the rest. If you want to check out all of my attempts, all of the footage, basically 2.5 hours, you can subscribe to my Patreon, get some exclusive behind the scenes footage. If you're really curious to see all of the novel strategies and tactics that I tested and all of my different attempts. I placed a levy infantry unit outside the fort in melee mode to burn down my own gate. Yes, guys, I'm going to do that. I am going to burn down my own gate. And you'll see why shortly. Very deliberate unit placements based on how the enemy units approach the fort and based on what I want to do exactly. Placing the spear levy outside, my very first objective is to get rid of the saber cavalry. Because if I don't do that now, eventually they're going to dismount and join the fight in a melee, and they're quite formidable in the melee. They're quite resilient in the melee, and I do not want to have my valuable rifle units get chewed up in a melee. And each and every second that they spend in a melee is 1 second that could have been spent reloading or firing on approaching units. Enemy cavalry taking a very weird approach to my spear levy. They're going over the hill, which I did not anticipate. It caught me off guard. Adapting, giving my spear levy a very slight terrain advantage just outside of the ditch. I'm trying to collect whatever advantage I can take. And luckily, saber cavalry did not get a proper charge on my spear levy. Managed to get them in the flank. Charge completely blunted. Meanwhile, the other saber cavalry yielded for whatever reason and just got shattered. Both of these units got shattered. At barely any loss to my spear levy. Now it's time to turn to face the line infantry, that solitary unit of line infantry. I placed the line infantry, this unit of line infantry behind the archery tower, because wooden cannons, enemy artillery will prioritize targeting line infantry. So I placed my line infantry right behind the tower to force them to expend their ammunition, to force the wooden cannons to expend their ammunition while preserving my own men. Taking advantage of every little detail in the terrain. The line infantry that I'm charging down with my spear levy don't have any shots. The slope is preventing them from actually firing until the very last second. All the while they're getting picked off by my own guns from the walls. Taking some aggro, but we have them on the slope and we have supporting gunfire. This is one scenario where I would have loved to have just one unit of Yarikachi. One unit of Yarikachi provides so much utility because of the morale. Yarikachi have the morale to withstand having friendly fire. Spear levy have a tendency to waver when you have friendly fire. And that is a line infantry gone. Deleted 3 units with the help of my spear levy to engineer fights. I'm now pulling line infantry back to the 2nd level to deal with the 2nd contingent of line infantry, while pulling my spear levy out of firing range. I'm more concerned with getting rid of melee infantry. Enemy melee units are a bigger problem in these siege defenses than rifle units, because most units in Fall of the Samurai are pretty bad in melee. And it's interesting because the melee units in this game, the traditional units, they reuse the AI from Shogun 2, so they almost never use gates, even when they're open. And the reason I burnt down the gate is to force these rifle units to funnel them into the gate, because They're scripted to prioritize going for open gates rather than climbing walls. And before they've even gotten any shots off, one of them is wavering. They're kind of confused. They're very slowly approaching. I'm second guessing what to do with my line infantry, but I'm pulling them back again because, contrary to what I expected, two of the line infantry are climbing onto the second level. We've grabbed the attention of one spear levy. Another spear levy is going after my own spear levy, and now I have levy infantry on the walls opening fire in support. A line infantry unit has shattered. The great thing about levy infantry is, despite their terrible stats, they at least have decent ammunition. They have more ammunition than normal line infantry. And that's a big issue in battles like these, where there are so many enemy units. They have so much men that I might not even have enough ammunition if I just had line infantry. I might not even have enough ammunition for all of them. And that's happened to me before in some of these closer battles where the only thing standing between me and victory was just I did not have enough bullets. And then it came down to the wire. Two spear levy having bullets being planted into their backs while I'm running down the hill, pulling them away. Improvising, not sure where to do. I'm almost trapped. I can't bring my spear levy safely back to the fort anymore. They're out of the fight. Though that did pull two enemy units out of the fight as well, so it's not all bad. I'm just wondering right now if the trade is actually worth it. And I see this opportunity to take them up the slope. There's a really good choke point over here with a very steep slope. And I'm hoping that I can turn the fight into my favor. I can turn attempting to pull my levy infantry back to the Tenshu. Take advantage of unbreakable morale. Their morale has stabilized, so that's good. And charge! And here's the pathfinding kind of messing with me because they're all getting bunched up at the edge of the staircase. Leaving them as sitting ducks if any units catch up to them. Unfortunately, it's not going as well as I'd hoped. It's not nearly as decisive as I would have hoped. And that's going to leave this unit to get attritioned. Even with the advantage, again, we just don't have enough men to beat this onslaught. So that spear levy is gone. There's nothing I can do to save it at this point. One gate has been destroyed by the wooden cannons, which is turning to my advantage. You can see what I was mentioning earlier. Now these line infantry are trying to go through the gate. They're being funneled through the gate rather than just climbing the wall at its entire length, making defense easier. Another line infantry has gotten stuck over here. That is just so satisfying, seeing the guns fire, just seeing the fire travel down ranks in the distance, just hearing the noise just echoing through the mountains. It's a great game, guys. It is insane that this is a full game priced as an expansion. It was a different time. It was a different time. And the attack is in full force. An absolute mess of line infantry, high experience line infantry, a spear levy, and more levy infantry. And somewhere in this mess is the enemy general. The general is Hatamoto from the reinforcing army. The first army was not difficult to deal with because they didn't have a general. But again, we're just gonna get attritioned.
One of your units can no longer fire, General.
It is so sad. Now one line infantry has been reduced to a terrible melee unit. That's all it can do now. And I wish I could use it. I wish I could use that unit of garrison infantry as a melee unit, but when you're in these large scale siege defenses, units just don't respond to your orders. They respond very weirdly. You can see the spear levy just not forming a line like I'm telling it to. Units are taking forever to actually respond to orders. Not saying I would have won this battle if the units were more responsive, but it would have been a lot closer. It might have been a chance to just barely eke out a victory. But hey, we did our best, didn't we? I think we did. Some wooden cannons in the background. I'm trying to see where the general is. I'm trying to spot him in this mess. I have no idea where he is. I can't see his banner anywhere. I don't see any dismounted cavalry unit either. And that's the timer ticking down. Levy units not firing. They're shuffling around. They're stuffing around. They're not actually firing. Yeah, there we go, finally. Because one guy was not in formation. Same thing happening with line infantry. Picking very weird targets rather than the target right in front of them. And I'm afraid to pick targets for them because they're just going to shuffle around again and the whole process starts again. Something left over from Empire Total War. It's just annoying. But you have to admit, it's just so satisfying to watch and listen to even when this is happening. Just watching the corpses pile on the ground and hearing the guns fire. And watching the enemy units like ants just swarming the Tenshu. A glorious last stand. Well, not so much. We still have a unit that's alive, half intact. And that counts as a close defeat. I mean, I guess that's a victory. I won in spirit if I managed to make that a close defeat. So, it's not all bad. And that is the first battle that I have not been able to solve on Against All Odds. I'm gonna, you know, you guys just send me the files. I'll post them, you know, whether I lose or not. You get to see both my wins and losses. That's one garrison infantry that managed to get 450 kills. Not too bad. My best attempt. So thank you so much for watching, guys. You can check out my Patreon if you want to see the full-length video. You can see the Obama logo at the top. I have the Obama mod installed. You can see it over here in the top. I just realized. But yeah, you can check that out. You can hop on into Discord. We talk about a lot of fun things. All of our RTS nerds talking about Total War and Age of Empires. I've also branched out into Age of Empires 4. So you can go ahead and check that out. You can also check out my merch store, get your own dishonorable merch, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye!